I'm excited for this lesson because you are going to begin learning one of the highlights of this course, which is how to use the number system. So let's think of perhaps you're on a worship team and it's you and you're playing with a guitarist. Let's say you're playing in the key of B flat, okay? And your guitarist likely is not playing in the key of B flat because your guitarist has what's called a capo. So a capo is something that they can move up on the neck of their guitar, and it allows them to play in the same key. They're thinking the same key, but the notes are sounding differently. The notes are sounding higher or lower based on where they place the capo on the neck of the guitar. For us, as pianists, we have something similar. We have a transpose button. I have never encouraged you to use the transpose button. If you have to, you can. But it's important for us as accomplished pianists to be able to play in every key. And so many guitarists can play in every key as well. But for those guitarists who are less skilled, then they often really rely on a capo. And for the guitarists, their fingers have to be in such odd positions, odd hand shapes, in order to be able to reach some of those really challenging chords, especially like the flat chords and things like that. Okay, so they a lot of times will use a capo. So if they're using a capo, they're thinking in a different key than they're actually sounding. So they might be thinking C, but they're sounding G. And you're playing in the key of G, but they're thinking C. Because you two are playing in different keys in order to make the sound the same, okay? So that is where it's really helpful to use the number system so that you can think in your key, they can think in their key, and all you have to say is one. And you play your one chord, they play their one chord, and it sounds the same. You might also run into an issue if you are playing with a clarinet player or brass instruments such as a trumpet or saxophone or anything like that. Saxophone, I think, is a reed instrument, but the clarinet is in the key of B flat. The trumpet is in either B flat or C typically, although I think there are E flat trumpets as well. And saxophones can be in B flat or E flat, and I think possibly other keys as well. So let's say you and a clarinet player are playing together. You play a C, a clarinet player plays a C, but because their instrument is tuned differently, their note is actually sounding a B flat. So they're playing a C, but it's sounding B flat. So in order for you and the clarinet player to be able to sound the same note, you have to be thinking in two totally different keys. So this is another reason that the Nashville Number System can come in handy. And a third reason the number system comes in handy is for you as a keyboardist to be able to really consolidate your notes in your chord charts. By notes, I don't mean musical notes, I mean written notes and your chord charts. For example, on my iPad here, I have a set list of about 170 songs, and they are all, or almost all, in the number system. So I don't really have hardly any charts here that use letter names. Everything uses the number system. So you can see 10,000 Reasons here. The chords are all in numbers. And I don't have 12 different chord charts, one for C, one for D flat, one for D, one for E flat, one for E, all the way up. I don't need them. All I need is one chart that tells me the numbers, and then I play that in whatever key I need to. So if my worship leader says, oh, we were going to do that in G, can we do it in A? I don't need to scramble and download a new chart in A or go through all my papers and find my chart, because I can just use the same number system chart here and I can say, oh, sure, I know what the 4 chord in A is. And it works perfectly. So that's what we're going to do beginning today, and also in our next lesson is we're going to talk about how to use the number system. And I think you are going to really like it. It's going to really simplify your life and also give you a better understanding of the theory of how music is put together. So let's start by looking at the chords. Okay. So as we've talked about previously, when we have a scale, let's just say we have our C scale, we can build a chord on each note of the scale. So on the first note of the scale, we can build a chord. That's our 1 chord, which is C. So I'm going to write that down here, 1, is going to be C. On the second note of the scale, we can build a chord, and that's going to be our 2 chord, and it is minor. Our 2 chord is always minor in any key. Okay, so our 2 chord is minor. So what we usually do for that is we write 2M. I should say what we always do for that. Whenever you have a minor chord, you have to write the lowercase m so that we know. Okay, so your 2 minor chord is going to be D minor. Then on the third note of your scale, you can build a chord every other note of the scale, and that is your E minor. So that's your 3 minor, which is E minor. On the fourth note of your scale, you can build a chord, which is F major. On the fifth note of your scale, you can build a chord, which is G major. And on the sixth note of the scale, you can build a chord, which is A minor. And that is going to be 6 with a lowercase m as well, so that we make sure we know it's minor. And now, obviously, there is a 7th note as well, and this would be diminished. We don't really use that in worship music. You'll see it sometimes in classical. You'll see it a lot in classical, actually. So if you wanted to write that, that would be 7 with a little degree sign, or 7 dim. Okay, and that would be your B diminished, or B dim. Okay, but we don't really use that. I've literally never seen that notation, the 7 diminished. I've never seen that. Okay, so we're going to cross that off for now because we don't really need that for worship music. Okay, so those are your 6 chords, and we have diatonically, which means in the key, you have your 1, 4, and 5 chords are always major. Your 2, 3, and 6 are always minor. Now, I want to give a little disclaimer here. Some people teach the number system a little differently than I do. Because I teach one key at a time, so we master a key, we learn the 6 chords that are in the key. Some people teach it differently. And so some people will say, your 2 chord is major unless you have an M. Your 3 chord is major unless you have an M, which technically is true. So that's fine. Like sometimes in songs, you might see a 2 without an M. So if you see a 2 without a lowercase m, that means it's major. So you're actually going to play a D major chord. Or if you see a 3 without a lowercase m, that's going to be major. So you will play the third note of your scale, and it's major. It has to be major because there's no lowercase m. Same thing with your 6. Sometimes you'll see just a 6, and we're going to talk about this a little bit, I believe, either in this lesson or the next one, about how some of these chords could be major sometimes, if it's a chromatic chord, which means it's not in the key. Okay, so your 6 chord, if you have no lowercase m, it's going to be A major. Okay, so that's really important to note here. But I'm going to erase that for now, and let's talk about a different key. So let's say we have the key of D. Your D scale is, okay, so your 1 chord would be D. Your 2 chord, 2 minor, starting on the E, would be E minor. Your 3 minor, so third note, 1, 2, 3, it's minor because it's diatonic. Diatonic means in the key. Okay, so that's going to be F sharp minor. Your 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, G major. Your 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, A major. And 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 is B minor. Okay, let's do this for another key. Let's say we have the key of E, because we talked about that in this course as well. So the key of E, our 1 chord, let's see, this is our scale for E. So our 1 chord is E. Our 2 chord, 2 minor, is going to be F sharp minor. 3 chord, 1, 2, 3. We know it's minor because our 2, 3, and 6 are always minor. That's going to be G sharp minor. Or 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 is A major. 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is B major. And 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 is C sharp minor. Okay, now let's do another key that we haven't done yet. We're going to be learning the key of F very soon in this course, so let's do the key of F. Okay, so key of F, I'll just show you here. The key of F has 1 flat. Okay, so it starts on F, and B flat is the 1 flat. Okay, so that's your scale for F. So your 1 chord in F is going to be your F here. 2 chord, G minor. So we know our 2 chord is always minor. 3 chord, 1, 2, 3, A minor. 4 chord, 1, 2, 3, 4, because we have our B flat. So your 4 chord is going to be B flat. 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Your 5 chord is C. And your 6 will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, D minor. I hope you enjoyed this video. The clip that you just watched is from my course called Early Advanced Worship Piano. If you would like to learn more about how to play worship piano from a heart of worship and love for Jesus, check out my online lessons and courses at adorationmusicacademy.com.